I am Ann. I am with Twitch Game Night, and I have Colby here with Plaid Games. Colby, tell me a little bit about what got you into the board game industry.
I fell in love with a game called Heroescape and just eventually started a deep dive on that as a fan, and that turned into some volunteer work, which turned into some freelance work, which turned into me trying to make my own game, and then I published that game through a company I created called Plaid Games, and
Very cool.
that was in '09, and been going ever since.
Awesome, awesome. So what do you have here on display?
We have our card game Ashes. This is an expandable card game, so you can buy like the base set.
Is the game in the frame? Okay. So Ashes is?
It's an expandable card game, so you have the base set. It's got everything you need to play, 6 decks, and then we expand it with other decks. The decks they can be played as is, or you can deck build and using all of the cards, build your own decks. And it's a 2 to 4 player combat card game. You have a Phoenixborn, and that's your big, powerful mage, and he's summoning out units and casting spells and battling the other Phoenixborn. It's all illustrated by one artist, Fernanda Suarez, and she just, by using one artist, of course, got a big, long production time, but you end up with this gorgeous, unified look. And we're really proud of the game, and we're spinning up organized play on the game.
And the steel, are these cards in an order that if I pick them up?
You can.
Okay. Nicole, you want to show off the beautiful artwork for these cards? Have you used this artist before? Is this somebody that you decided?
Yeah, Dead of Winter has the same artist, and we used her for Dead of Winter and Ashes.
I'm just comparing at the different art styles.
Yeah, they're both her, but obviously, we went a lot brighter.
Yeah.
Here, and this is a game about the apocalypse, so that's a lot darker.
Oh, that's really nice. That was something that I noticed with another card. Oh, that one didn't have it. The artwork you have for the characters, I'm guessing those are character cards?
Right, yeah, because those don't go in a deck.
Can you flip them over, Nicole?
Those stand outside of the deck, so on the back we've got the full frame artwork.
It's very pretty. Yeah, it is.
If there's anything else, it's a little hard to move the frame around, so just show it to me and I'll pull it up.
I think I switched it. Okay, so this game was designed by who?
Isaac Vega. He also did Dead of Winter for us, and he's our VP of R&D, so he's kind of our lead game design guy.
Very cool. These are games that, excuse my little ignorance, games that are already out. I believe I've definitely heard of Dead of Winter.
Yeah, Ashes is out now, and Dead of Winter is out now, and this is actually Dead of Winter The Long Night. That's released back in August. It's the new, you can play it by itself, or you can combine all of its contents with your original set of Dead of Winter.
What are you doing in these games? What's the intention? You kind of went over the deck building.
Yeah, so in this game, you're mages that combat with one another, and it's about clever card play and building your deck. You incorporate dice, and your dice provide your resources, your magic that you then use to cast spells.
The dice are very pretty too.
Yeah, it's a very pretty game. It's a very well designed game, and we put a lot of resources into making this the best it can be.
So Dead of Winter is different because?
And Dead of Winter is a zombie apocalypse game, but it's not just about killing the zombies. It's more about like the tension between players and social interactions.
Okay.
So you're a bunch of survivors in apocalypse, and you all have this main objective you're trying to achieve. Like maybe we're just trying to keep everybody fed or something like that. But you also all have secret objectives.
Okay.
So you all have your own wants and needs as well. And so that can cause players to come into conflict, and there's even a chance that there could be a betrayer out in the mix that just wants to watch everything burn. And so yeah, you end up having to manage ongoing crises and keeping the colony fed and keeping morale up and making sure the zombies don't overrun locations, going out to locations to search for resources. And amidst it all are these crossroads cards. So this is kind of like we call it a crossroads game, and this is why. They're really interesting because they infuse the whole game with storytelling moments.
Okay.
So they'll have a trigger effect. So for example, you might have a card that triggers when somebody's shot off a gun, and all of a sudden you're reading this story about if Thomas Hart's in play, his PTSD triggers, and you end up having to like give up some medication to medicate him, or he's going to hurt somebody.
Well,
so you end up with these tough choices and these narratives that unfold that tell the story of the game and the story of the characters in the game.
Very, very cool. So these games look like big, meaty games. What's kind of like the gameplay on these games, time-wise?
So this one's, we say 15 to 30 minutes per player, so it's about, a 30-hour-long game for the two-player game, which is the most common way to play. And then Dead of Winter is 3 to 5 players, and that one lasts about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And that's a big meaty experience. You're gonna go away feeling like you took part in a really
post-apocalyptic
great story. Yeah.
That seems very, very cool. So do you have, you were giving me an explanation about the crossroad cards, and you named a character. So do you have stories for each of your characters?
Yeah, each character has at least one crossroads card that's dedicated to them. Oftentimes they have more that'll come into play surrounding them. And then there's like the incidental events that happen. A crossroad card might trigger when you're on your way to a location and suddenly you start to find yourself surrounded by a zombie horde, and you have to decide whether you're going to push on and try to make to that location, or you're going to retreat. And they end up being these tactical decisions, but also these narrative-heavy decisions.
So, Dead of Winter, Long Night. Is this a second edition? Is this an expansion? I mean, it's not an expansion. Is there a different Dead of Winter game, or no? This is the first one.
There's the first one's just called Dead of Winter, and this calls Dead of Winter: The Long Night. It's an expansion, but it can also be played on its own if you don't have the first one.
Okay.
So,
are you carrying over characters from the first game into this?
This is all new characters in this one, and you can use the characters from the first game in this one, or use the characters from this game in the first one. It's all new crossroads cards, all new items, new crises, all the stuff that you would get from Dead of Winter. You're getting more of it here, which is exactly what people were telling us they wanted. And then this also has some new modules. So like we introduced the bandits that are coming and raiding your supplies. We introduced Raxon that's doing all these weird experiments that are creating these super zombies of sorts. We have colony improvements where you can improve your colony and build turrets or various things to help with various elements of the game. So yeah, like and they're modular, so you can introduce one at a time and learn those new roles.
Okay, so if I'm sitting down for this game for the first time, if you're talking about modular expansions, you may sit down with me with something that doesn't have as much, and as I get comfortable, you're going to add on a little bit more and add on a little bit more.
Exactly right.
So that really adds to your replayability.
Right.
Awesome.
So for the person that's getting this for the first time, they might not play with any of the modules. They might just play the base Dead of Winter experience, but with the contents we have here. But if somebody's coming over from the other game, they may be ready to throw in a module and test that out, and then do a different one the next game, and then eventually you could do all 3 of the modules at once.
Very cool. So what else do you have here for us? Is it really just these 2 games that you're showcasing?
These are the 2 games we're showcasing and have on display. We have a whole line here from Mice and Mystics, which is a story-based game where you're mice trying to save this kingdom of men.
So I have 2 boys, and that was one of our first games outside of like the basic Monopoly or what have you.
Awesome.
And they absolutely loved it.
Great. Yeah, we've gotten that feedback over and over that it's a really great game for gamer parents to play with their kids, and it's just this fun, cute experience.
It's cute, and it's not overly complicated, so it's easy to play with. My boys are 6 and 13, so it's easy to play with that age range.
Yeah, they only have to
nice.
kind of manage their character, and there's a few things that their character does.
Right, and
they
for
get
me,
to be specialists in those things.
And it's still interesting enough for me to kind of want to see where the story progresses.
Right.
And it's really cute.
Thank you. And we have Spectre Ops, which is this hidden movement spy game. I can show this.
Yeah.
So this is what Mice and Mystics looks like. It's got these plastics miniatures in them. It's It's one of our best sellers. It's a perennial for us. Spectre Ops is kind of our Metal Gear Solid-esque. I'm a near future sci-fi spy that's infiltrating this facility and trying not to get spotted.
Very cool. You've got the same. The minis are adorable for Mice and Mystics. How they match with them. I saw with Spectre Ops. I'm just looking at the back and in your components.
Same sculptor as Mice and Mystics.
So who are tell me a little bit about the designers and the artists for the games.
So both of these I mentioned are Fernando Suarez, and the designer on both of these is Isaac Vega. The designer on this one is Emerson Matsuuchi. This is one of his first published games, but he's quickly becoming well known in the industry. You'll see a lot more from him in the near future. He's got a bunch of stuff signed. And the illustrator here, you know, I'm blanking on the illustrator's name. This is the only game we've used him for
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
But the sculptor is Chad Hoverter, and he did the sculpting here. He did the sculpting in Mice and Mystics. Mice and Mystics artist is John Ariosa. He's done a lot of work for a lot of different companies at this point. But we were the first one to find him right out of college.
Very cool.
So yeah. And they all contribute, obviously, to this total package. It's very much a team effort.
Yeah.
So I'm really beating myself up over not remembering who the artist is.
It's kind of why I like to ask, because it's more than just a designer with a game. You've got to have a designer, then you've got to have a really good artist so that the game is attractive.
Right. Graphic designers, Dave Richards and all of this, he's on our staff. There's just so many pieces of the puzzle that have to come together. Writer, we use a guy that uses the pseudonym Mr. Bistro. He does all of our writing.
That's the best name ever.
So yeah.
What has been your favorite experience as a publisher?
So I'm going to call it a tie. So like
okay.
when the creatives outside of yourself start to get a hold of the game and you really start to see it come to life and you get that art in the first time, you see the graphics fall in, and it turns from an idea or like a bad looking prototype to an actual product that you know is going to be out there on the market. That's really a magical experience. But it's also great to be at a show, much like this one, and interact with the people who have played your games, who have stories about your games, who are excited to meet you. That can be a really fulfilling experience. We're lucky to be able to make a living making board games, and then on top of that, to be affirmed for it. We're just so lucky.
It's very cool. What has been your favorite experience so far at BGG.CON?
I haven't really been working the booth at BGG.CON. I've been hanging out, making sure that our booth workers are taken care of. I've been on my laptop working most of the shows, so I don't know if I have a story yet.
No?
I played Freedom and Freeze's new game, Fabled Fruits, which Stronghold is publishing in English, and that's a really fun game. That was really enjoyable. It's like a worker placement game where these little animals, and you're trying to earn fruits, and then you spend the fruits to do various things like claim point cards. But as you play, you cycle through this big fat deck of cards where new rolls are coming out, and you can pick up the next game where you left off, and it just keeps being a new game.
Can I tell you that that's probably, this moment right here is probably one of my favorite things about BGG.CON is the community. That even though you're here as a publisher, you have your own games, I asked you what one of your favorite experiences is, and you are all set and ready to tell me, I played this other game from this other publisher, it's really cool, it's really great. I love the community here.
I think most of us who are in this industry know that this industry grows through teaching more people that these are fun things. It's not as intimidating as it looks, and getting people to try out. That's how we grow right now. Not by like trying to squeeze out every dollar from everybody that's already in it, right? And everybody has taste. Like, we're not going to put out a Fabled Fruits game because that's not really our brand.
Right.
For people who like that thing,
there's another publisher for it.
Yep.
It's very cool. Do you have anything you want to let our audience know about anything you have upcoming? Best places to get any of your games?
Our games are widely available. You can get them at Barnes & Noble, you can get them on Amazon, you can get them through our website at BGG.CON, as well as kind of the local brick and mortar mom and pop game shops you might have in your area.
Friendly local game store?
That's right.
Okay.
So, and whatever your favorite way to get board games is, ours are there.
Do we have any questions from chat? Colby, thank you so much. I know you've been very busy. Thank you for taking your time
No
to
problem.
come and
Thank
come
you.
talk to us. I appreciate it very
Thanks
much.
for what you do.
Thank you.
Have fun.